Hello, welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. For today's video, I'm trying something new. I asked for does anyone else questions from the Discord groups, and I got some really good does anyone else questions. And as a disclaimer, this is for casual conversation. This is in no way scientific or indicative that any of these symptoms are necessarily PTSD related, but maybe a similar circumstance for another survivor. And it feels nice when you can connect through those questions. So let's get into does anyone else questions. The first two are mine, and then the rest of them are other people's. My first couple are, does anyone else remember chest pains from childhood and being like a low energy child, getting tired out very easily? I had trouble running. Playing tag was more of a chore than a fun thing. And I actually was talking to one of my friends on the Discord, and they mentioned this the other day without me mentioning my question at all. So that was somewhat surprising. But yeah, I was very low energy, and I had a lot of chest pains as a kid. So I'm wondering if other people maybe have too. My next one. Does anyone else feel insane while in an episode because you know it's an episode but still can't get your head out of it? Like where you can see that you're doing things that are abnormal, but it's like your brain can't figure out what the normal thing to do is. And a lot of times when I'm in those, it's like I get mad at myself. Like, I can see that you're not acting normal, Alex, but what's wrong with you? Just act normal. And then I go, I don't know what that is. I don't know what normal is. And it's really frustrating, and it's really not fun. So, getting into other people's questions now. Does anyone else take scalding hot showers? And this is a question that I actually was talking about with somebody a while ago. One of my very first super validating experiences talking to a fellow childhood sexual survivor was we both took scalding hot hot showers, and to the point where we would lightly burn ourselves, and it makes you feel cleaner in a weird way. And that's a fair question. How hot do you like your showers? Do you burn yourself a little bit? Because I've slowly gotten better at it, because it's not good to be burning yourself repeatedly that often. But it is still an old habit that I do fall into, especially when I'm really stressed out. I'll take a scalding hot shower to kind of ground myself. So that's an interesting one. The next, does anyone else question? Does anyone else experience mind blankness, incapable to visualize, aphantasia, total aphantasia, etc., while somehow still being able to think, problem solve, explore with abstract concepts? Now, aphantasia is a suggested name for a condition where one does not possess a functioning mind's eye and cannot visualize imagery voluntarily. And I don't personally suffer from this, but I have talked to a few people on the Discord who has taught me about this. When they first brought it up, I had to look it up and be like, what is that? And that is a disability, I guess, that I never really thought about. I didn't even know that it was a disability. And so that kind of blew my mind, that because it's hard to imagine that, if you don't have it, it's really hard to imagine what it's like to not be able to visualize things voluntarily. But I hope if you can relate to that, definitely comment down below. Join the Discord, because obviously there's a few others on there that cannot visualize very well. The next question is, does anyone else experience PTSD symptoms from large events that were bad, but not necessarily traumatic? Things like flashbacks, but not of trauma, but of better times, or being triggered by things that spark feelings other than sadness, anger, panic. And I can speak from my own personal experience on this one. I have had pleasant flashbacks, if you want to call them that, flashbacks where nothing traumatic is happening. I actually get those quite a bit. A lot of them involve my stepdad. I liked him quite a bit, and I'll flash back to driving in the car with him and listening to music. And those were some of my happiest times during my childhood, was sitting with him quietly and listening to him whistle to the music on the radio. It's very, very possible for flashbacks to work that way, and they often do. As far as triggering feelings other than the negative ones, that should be equally as possible, since you can flash back to pleasant times and then you get that feeling of peace, or you get that feeling of happiness that comes along with it. Sometimes with a flashback, it will make me giggle, especially if it's a flashback of me and my friend together, and I feel like I'm actually back in that place. That will definitely make me giggle and make me happy a bit, and that's nice to have. I wish most of PTSD was like that, honestly. Like, it's just a little part of it where you get happy flashbacks, but I wish it was a bigger part of it where you could just access your happy flashbacks more than your sad ones, because that would be helpful for sure. Next question. Does anyone else feel like doctors and psychiatrists don't listen to you and don't take you seriously? I have had some personal experience with this. I've definitely gone into a psych office or a psychiatrist office and felt like they didn't take me seriously, or they would assume that I'm lying about things just by the tone of the voice. And then I've seen dozens of doctors with health issues, and I very much gathered that feeling that a lot of them did not care, and a lot of them just wanted to get me out of their office and either give me a drug, and then if I refused the drug, it was like they were annoyed with me, when I genuinely just wanted to know where my symptoms were coming from, especially the physical symptoms. And I got the stress talk repeatedly. I had one doctor get mad at me because I wanted to get a brain scan because I was having a lot of seizures. I was having 20 to 30 seizures a day. And so I called up a doctor that I had seen recently that was just kind of like a general practitioner. And I talked to his nurse. I'm like, I need this brain scan since these seizures won't go away. And he returned with a message from his nurse to go see my psychiatrist. I need to just go see my psych. And I don't need a brain scan for that. And that made me so mad. I went to a different hospital ER, and thank God that doctor was nice. And I just explained to him, I've been having these seizures all week. I need to get a brain scan just to reassure myself that there's nothing wrong with my brain. And he's like, well, all of the symptoms look like conversion disorder, but I also understand that you need to be reassured in order to feel better. So it's totally up to you. If you want to do it, let's do it. If you feel like you don't need to do it anymore, then we won't do it. I'm like, let's just do it. And he's like, okay. And that was so relieving after talking to a doctor who not only dodged my calls, but then when he finally did answer, he's like, go see your psychiatrist. You don't need a brain scan. You just need mental health. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that was not a good doctor at all. I've seen him a few times before, and every time he invalidated me, and he made me feel worse after seeing seeing him. Unfortunately, there are bad mental health and medical professionals that we have to deal with, and it is not fun in the slightest. Oof, if you have any stories, feel free to add them to the comments or join the Discord and talk about it. All right, next, does anyone else question? Does anyone else have problems sleeping or falling asleep? And personally, yes. Yes, I do. I have a lot of problems falling asleep. I have problems staying asleep. I usually wake up before my alarm a few times, just tossing and turning. Going to sleep can be a challenge, especially when your thoughts are racing, or a lot of times I get a panic attack as soon as I lie down. The bed in general is pretty triggering for me. It's triggering going to sleep. It's triggering waking up by myself because my husband has to go to work pretty early. Just a lot of triggerings going on. And then along with the nightmares that definitely hurt my brain a bit and make me a whole lot more anxious, which is the reason why I wake up so much earlier than my son, because I just need to recover from attempting to sleep. I need some time to collect my thoughts and collect my personhood, because I feel like I'm the most vulnerable when I'm going to sleep and when I'm waking up. Those two times are the most difficult times of my day usually, and then the middle of the day goes by way easier, but going to sleep is triggering and waking up is pretty triggering. And I've spoken to a few people about this on Discord. A lot of them that I've talked to do also have sleep problems. And a lot of the same stuff. A lot of it's related to nightmares and night terrors. And, just being overwhelmed with all the anxiety. And that might be because, we go over our day at the end of the day. When we go to lie down, that's when our brain wants to sort stuff out and be like, all right, what's going on? Let's place everything where it's supposed to be. And if you have PTSD, a lot of that stuff is probably anxiety provoking or triggering in some way. We have so many triggers to so many things. It's really hard to not be triggered thinking about everyday stress. At least that's my thoughts on it. All right. So our last one for today is, does anyone else move around a lot during childhood? Or did anyone else? I read that wrong. Did anyone else move around a lot during childhood? And I think I moved around about 7 times when I was a kid. I think I counted it up, and it was about that many times. So we did move around a bit. I was very far away from my original school that I started going to school with. Changed schools a number of times. And now I feel bad because I don't know if I actually moved 7 times or if I just thought that for some odd reason. I counted up the number a long time ago and it's 7 times. Now I'm having second thoughts about it. I don't know if I did move 7 times. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So I moved around a bit. If I stop to count it, it's going to be silent on my end. So I moved around a few times. I've changed schools a few times. And it was always really hard, trying to make friends. And then especially when you meet, a pair of best friends who have known each other since they were kids, since kindergarten or whatever it was. And so it's like they have this impenetrable bond that you never had the option to make with anybody. You never really had the option to keep in contact with old friends. You didn't really have the option to go visit them that much, especially if you moved far away from them. There's no way that you can see them after you change schools. And I think that definitely hurts a bit when you're making friends at one school and all of a sudden you're pulled out and put into another environment. As trauma survivors in general, that's going to hurt a bit, and you're going to miss those people a lot, and then you're going to have to just do it all over again. So I can I can somewhat relate to the moving issues. And if anybody else can, like I said, join the Discord, talk with us about it. So those were my does anyone else questions. Like I disclaimed before, this is not based in any scientific fact, just for casual, fun conversation and hopefully validating for some people who listen and they go, oh yeah, I do that. Those are pretty fun and pretty interesting. I like hearing the stories out of them too. If you have responses, feel free to use the comment section, and then you can also join the Discord and share there. There's an email down below if you want to share a story or your own does anyone else question. You can send me anything. I think I'm going to continue doing this as questions pop up. It probably won't be that regular of a video, but every so often when I hear enough good questions, I'll put them on a list and make a video for them. All the other links are down below, Discord and the Facebook link. And yeah, I think that's about it. Everybody, I hope y'all have a good one.